Your X100v isn't as efficient as it could be straight out the box. So in this video, I'm going to talk about 12 camera settings you can change that will make the experience much better when using this camera. Stick around to the end because I want to show you a bonus feature some people may not even know about. Number one, the leaf shutter. This camera has a very quiet shutter, except when you first get it out the box. By default, there is a disgusting fake shutter noise. To make the most of this stealthy shutter, we just need to turn off the fake noise, go into menu, setup, sound settings, and shutter volume off. The second thing you need to do is change the image quality to fine and raw. This one is of course personal preference, but if you want to get the very best JPEGs out of your X100V, and JPEG film simulations are a big part of using this camera, they are for me anyway, you want to be using fine. That's the best quality JPEG file. And then of course, like every other camera brand, using raw file will be your best friend when you're editing. Change this by pressing menu, IQ, image quality, and choosing fine plus raw. Let's talk about lossless compressed. If you want to reduce the file size without losing image quality, I'm struggling to find a reason why you wouldn't want to do this. Go to menu, IQ, raw recording, and choose lossless compressed. Tip number 4 is making sure pre-autofocus is turned off. You don't want the camera to just always hunt for focus. The first reason is that's just annoying, and the second reason, we want ultimate control over our focus. And I'll talk about a focusing method in a second that will help with that. But just turn pre-AF off. I think it might come automatically turned on. Menu, AF, MF, pre-AF, and off. Tip number 5 is to turn on autofocus and manual focus. When you're out shooting, if you half press, obviously your camera's gonna focus, but whilst you have AF plus MF turned on, you can spin the manual focus wheel, and there you will have manual focus as well as autofocus. I think this little feature is super handy when you're shooting through windows, reflections, or you just get in a shot that's a little bit difficult for the camera to autofocus. All you have to do now is half press, move the little wheel to be more precise with your focusing. I think this is helpful. To enable this, go to menu, AF, MF, AF plus MF, and turn this on. Tip number 6 is turning your touchscreen off. Some people might disagree with this point, but I think it's better to just actually switch off all touchscreen features. The physical buttons on the camera are fantastic, therefore I never find myself needing to touch the screen. But also if you're using the camera all day, it's hanging around your neck, it's very easy to accidentally press something you don't want to press, turn something on, accidentally take a photo, whatever it may be. So I just find it much easier to use the camera without any touchscreen features. To turn off the touchscreen, go to menu, setup, button dial settings, touchscreen setting, and turn it off. Tip number 7 is to customize your EVF and LCD screen. I'm not sure if you knew, but you can change the LCD screen in an electronic viewfinder to display whatever you want to display, so we should make use of this feature. Personally, I like to have the bare minimum on display, just so my EVF is nice and clean, so camera settings, battery life, and exposure compensation seems to be the only things I really look for. To change these to your preferences, go to menu, setup, screen setup, down to page 3, and then display custom settings. There you can tick or untick whatever you want. And number 8, of course, is your Optical Viewfinder custom display. For this one, I have an even more minimal display as I want the OVF to be realistic, clean, and simple to look through. To change these settings, do exactly the same you did with your LCD screen, but with the OVF. Tip number 9 is changing your shutter speed dial. A lot of people might not like the default shutter speed dial. It might be too slow or actually just too stiff in general when using it. If you change your camera to T mode, you can actually then use the back dial to change your shutter speed, which I find is definitely a little bit better to use. Tip number 10 is to lock the joystick. Similar to earlier when I was talking about the touchscreen being off, I think the joystick being locked is also more convenient. Sometimes if you've got it hanging around your neck or you're just carrying it around all day, it can be easy to knock the joystick, therefore moving your focus point, for example. It's very simple to lock the joystick in place by going to menu, setup, dial settings, focus lever setting, then change to lock or double tap to unlock, whatever suits you. Automatic ISO settings. If you shoot in any automatic way like I do, my favorite way of using the X100V is via aperture priority. It can be important for us to set some ISO boundaries. To do this, go to menu, then shooting settings, then ISO auto settings. You can set 3 custom options for different shooting scenarios. The main auto ISO settings I have set is a base of 160, maximum of 3200, and a minimum shutter speed of maybe 120. I feel like that covers a lot of ground, especially with street photography. Tip number 12 is to enable back back button focus. This point isn't about making the camera perform better, but actually just making it easier for yourself. Many of you will be aware, especially if you're a street photographer, of back button focusing, but how do we turn it on? Simply go to Menu, Setup, Button Dial Settings, Function Settings, then the AEL, AFL, turn that to AF on. And now for the bonus tip, which I mentioned earlier, is to use boost mode. So boost mode does seem to divide the X100v community from the various sources I've read this. It does drain your battery quicker, but you get a better refresh rate from the EVF and LCD screen, and your autofocus speed is quicker. To turn this on, go to Menu, Setup, Power Management, Performance, and then boost mode or normal mode. I recommend turning boost mode on because you end up with ultimately a better performing camera, which I think is a fair trade-off to just then carry an extra battery. If you want to see me using the camera hands-on in the city doing some street photography, then a video has just popped up next to my face and I think you might like it. That's enough from me. Please hit subscribe, road to 100,000 subscribers, leave a like and comment below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.